Today's date is Thursday, November 26, 2020. How's it going? Welcome to The Midday Show with me, J.R. Bjornson. Let's go!
Welcome to The Midday Show, hosted by J.R. Bjornson, a stand-up comedian, YouTuber, father of 5 glorious kids. He might be a little blind, but he likes to make you smile. His goal is to help you alleviate some of the daily stress. When you invest time in his podcast, you'll be feeling a little happier. New episodes Monday to Friday, released usually by 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Broadcasting from Central Alberta, Canada. Please welcome J.R. Bjornson.
Hope you guys are having a wonderful, wonderful day, guys. I apologize for uploading so late today, guys. But I gotta tell you, I'm in a little bit of pain. I feel a little sore because I had surgery. And I gotta tell you, it was the quickest surgery of my life. How quick are we talking about here? It was so fast that I was able to tell my doctor what I do for a living, and it only took 5 minutes for that life story. And then the surgery was over. Just like that. It was 5 minutes, 3 seconds. My goodness, a personal record of all surgeries I've been through. If you're interested in knowing what kind of surgery I had, I can officially say I had a vasectomy. Why? Because I can't fit any more kids in my minivan. Also, I think I've contributed enough to the human population that I've done my part. So go do yours. No, I'm kidding. Don't go have kids, man. You know, me and my sister had a great conversation. She was the one who drove me down to Calgary, Alberta, where the surgery took place. And we realized after doing some research, did you know if you live in Canada and you get help from the government, they give you about a total of, I think it's about $350,000 to $500,000 in 18 years if you get child help assistance. And that's what I have because of the whole lack of ability to work. I try to work, but no one will hire me because of my disability. We'll get into that topic again one of these days. I often talk about it here on the podcast. And so I get all this awesome help from my local government. And get this, if I do really well at raising my kids, help them do good in school, help them make that money, they will the government does technically get all their money back eventually. It's a small investment, but the government does get their money back once the kids hopefully grow up, have good lives, and most of all, make a living and pay their taxes. So, today's been another great day, guys. It's minus 3 degrees Celsius out there right now, but with the wind shield, as we call it, the wind chill. I say wind shield, but the wind chill brings it up to minus 8. Beautiful, beautiful sunny day today. Sunny day. Oh, sunny, sunny, sunny day. So I hope you're having a good Sunday. I hope you're having a good sunny day, rather. Sunday's coming up in a few days. I am flustered. I'm on some painkillers, and I gotta tell you, nothing makes you feel more brain fogged than when you're on medication. So if I do make some errors this morning, that's going to be my fallback excuse. Received some sad news from the comedy festival that I was a part of in Edmonton, courtesy of the Grindstone Theatre and Bistro. They basically sent me an email that states that due to the restrictions caused by the global pandemic, my comedy show will be moved indefinitely until the best date to announce it when all these cases, I assume, will go down. We are currently in a state of emergency here in Alberta, Canada. State of emergency being that they've added some more restrictions. Problem with this is the restrictions are not that clear. Other than we can only hang out with 2 people outside our family dwellings. Those have to be what they call your social contacts. So we have to hang out with our social contacts only. And it's really up to everybody else to follow that rule. So it really just made me, realize, well, who is technically a social contact of mine, I don't hang out with a lot of people. I think in my circle of friends, there's only 3 main people I consider friends. And the rest, I have acquaintances. Don't be offended if you thought you were my friend and you might be an acquaintance. It just means we don't hang out a lot. I consider the friends that invest time on me when we hang out. Those are my friends. People who say, I got your back, and then you go ask them for help, and then they come up with this bogus excuse on why they can't help you. Those are not your friends. So it's always and that's where Facebook, and I don't really log on to Facebook as much as I used to, because it's all of us just complaining about how hard we have it. And then I've helped so many people in my life, and out of my investment in all those people, only 3 people have helped me back. And those are the people that I consider my true friends. So, friendship is one of those things. Some people say you need friends. Other people say, to heck with friends. They don't do you any good. It's only you that does you any good. You see, I would like to believe that too, but I don't want to be miserable and alone. So I'm happy to say that I have 3 friends. So the hardest part about this whole restrictions, you can only hang out with 2 social contacts outside your family dwelling. And that's another thing we got to talk about. There is 7 people that live in this house of mine, and we've all made them, me and my wife. And I could not imagine what it's like if you're alone, if you don't have much of anybody in your life, and now you've been told you can only hang out with 2 people. And what I don't understand is why we just don't go into a lockdown. We're in what's called a state of emergency, and here's the rules that I personally understand. Rule 1, you only need 2 social contacts. You can't have more. Rule 2, restaurants can only be 25% capacity. Now, Rule 2 is annoying. How are we supposed to stop the spread of this horrific virus when we can still hang out with people when we go eating? And the Rule 3 goes back to Rule 1, only having 2 social contacts. How are they going to enforce that? How are they going to cause that to happen? By the way, switching gears for a second, happy Thanksgiving to my American subscribers of the podcast. Today is Thanksgiving in America, which means, you know what tomorrow is, right? Black Friday. So yeah, Black Friday's coming up tomorrow in America. My son was asking me yesterday, hey, Dad, do we have a Black Friday? And I said, well, we kind of do have a Black Friday. We call it Boxing Day, and it takes place 1 month from now on December 26th. So what Boxing Day is basically, it's almost like Black Friday. Stuff goes on sale for about 30 to 40% off because businesses need to order in new things, new products that we can spend money on that we don't have. So Black Friday allows them to, in this case, Boxing Day allows them to get rid of all their old supply at a discounted price, which is pretty cool. Hope you're having an incredible Thursday, the 26th of November. You're currently tuned in to the Midday Show with J.R. Bjornson. And so it's mind-blowing to me that my son is starting to understand some of these holidays. He's more inclined. Also, I might be a bad writer. For homework, my son has to write a story with different problems that the characters go through in the story. It's really cool to explain to him that his favorite TV shows all have problems, right? So, like The Simpsons, Marge, the mother, the character there, her problem is her son, Bart Simpson. Bart is always getting into mischief. He's always causing issues regarding graffiti. Sometimes he's a bit of a bully. And most of all, he just loves to be a troublemaker. So I told my son, Bart Simpson, is very problematic in these episodes of The Simpsons. So they don't know how to fix Bart. They never do end up fixing Bart. They'd end up giving him medication. And then my other son, who's in grade 1, he's learning about fiction and nonfiction. Nonfiction being real and fiction being fake. So I told him, I said, Paw Patrol, very, very fictional. I said, Paw Patrol is not real. The show itself is a cartoon created by multiple people who write stories. And in those stories, there is problems. So isn't it great that when you learn all these great things again as a parent, and I'm sure as a child, you get to see the world in a whole new light. You get to focus on the problems, and you begin to realize what a problem is. And then, how do we fix it? How do we take care of it? How do we deal with these problems? And sometimes you just can't deal with these problems. So right now, there's no problems going on in my life other than I'm told to sit on my caboose and not do anything at all, which has been the greatest prescription I've ever had. I've never known myself to stay still because I'm always working on things. I'm always trying to come up with ways to make it a better day every day, either with my kids. I'm always trying to come up with ways to make additional side hustles, ways to make money so I can be a contributing member of society. And so my biggest problem since, 11 years ago was finding full-time work. If I was to write a story of my life, the finding full-time work would be the main concept of the story. And if I was to make my life into a TV show, I would be this character who can't see very good. And in every episode, we try to go find work. We try to focus on one employer. But all the episodes would end up ending the same way where, no, sorry, you're just not what we're looking for. In your heart, well, if I'm not what you're looking for, this really sucks. And how come I'm not what you're looking for? We would do a whole episode on the coffee chain that all Canadians love. And I would talk about the time when I went to go for a job interview, and the only reason why they didn't hire me was they were worried I would spill coffee on myself. And I'm sure people who can see have done that many times. So every episode, the goal would be for me to somehow get better at a job interview and hopefully secure my spot. Maybe the season finale would be the day I actually get a job. And the show would run for maybe 12 years, and maybe on the 12th season, the season finale, we find out that I actually get employed. And then we come back for season 13 where the job ends up not working out either for some reason or another. It would just be a horrific loop of things that could go wrong as me being a character. And when you think about it, we are all characters in our own lives, right? You're a character in your own life. Maybe you're a single mom. Your storyline would be about how you have to find after-school programs or programs to help your child do better. At the same time, you yourself have to focus on finding yourself a job. And then you realize finding a job is way difficult because when you're done work, you still have to go home and help your child with their homework or find out what kind of outbreak they've had. And, your main goal there would be to figure out how to deal with this outbreak of emotions. And then the viewer could come along and relate to you. And I think that's why we like watching our favorite TV shows, because all of our characters, all of the people, fictional people that we watch, end up having problems and they relate to us. Hence why some TV shows are very addictive to watch. Speaking of TV shows, guess what I've been watching? After I got home from surgery, I had a little bit of a nap. The painkillers, they make me a little tired. And after my nap, guess what show I watched? I watched Fear Factor. It's on Amazon Prime. I watched season 1, episode 1, a little bit of episode 2, and I forgot about all the intense stunts they went through. So it was really good to live that part of my childhood, because Fear Factor, I think, was released in 2001, and I would have been 11 or 10 years old. And I'm like, what kind of parent lets their kids watch Fear Factor? Apparently my mom. So love you, Mom. And it was really great to watch Fear Factor with my wife and to realize, oh my goodness, no wonder why I had nightmares. Some of these stunts these people go through is intense. In episode 1, the first stunt that they do is they get dropped out of a 25-story hotel room, but they're on this harness. And before they hit the ground, the harness slows down. So that fear is all about the fear of heights. And then later on in the episode for stunt number 2, they got to eat sheep eyes, eyes of a sheep. And the fear there is the texture, the taste, the horribleness that comes with that. And then for their final stunt, they end up, what is it that they have to do? Oh, see, there's the medication working for me. I can't remember what they had to do for their final stunt. But, things like that. It's all about facing your greatest fears. And episode 2, you have to run to a finish line while being attacked by a police dog. You still wear padding, but they did say the dog did get through the padding. And you also realize how young some of the people that you still watch today. I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan. I wouldn't say I'm his biggest fan. I like listening to bits and pieces of his podcast, the Joe Rogan podcast. I think it's called the Joe Rogan Experience or something. And I only listened to a few episodes. I listen to snippets because my attention span, if you didn't know this about me, my attention span is very limited. It's really hard for me to pay attention to things. And that's why my son also struggles in school. It's hard for him to pay attention. But to see him, to see myself in him, I'm able to hopefully help him to the best of my abilities, and we figure it out together. Isn't that great, though, when your kids are in school and you realize some of the issues you had? Like my mom, she does not like science, but she loves math to a certain degree. I actually prefer math over anything else. I wasn't a big fan of social studies because it helped me see how dark the world is and everything that other people in governments have done. And it was really cool to hear my son today in class learn about racism. And everybody from the class was asked to bring up an example of when they thought they experienced or seen racism. And he actually talked about my buddy, my best friend, who is Black, African American. And one time, my buddy was walking in downtown, not downtown, more like, we'll just say he was walking in Grand Prairie. And he was near downtown. Somebody said a racist slur to him and then tried to throw a cup of slush in his face as they drove by him. And he was just walking, minding his own business. So it really, it made my heart pitter-patter a little bit when he brought up that story to his class, because my son already understands to a certain degree what racism is and, how wrong it is. And then the teacher brought up a different type of racism where she was called a racist because she was half Aboriginal and half non-Aboriginal, also known as white. So she's being called a racist because of her nationality, but then she explained to the kids that when you're called a racist and you're not a racist, but you're born mixed, that is a form of racism as well. So it's really good that they're trying to teach these kids all the problems that we as adults face. So I thought that was really, really interesting. I really thought it was also quite fascinating. In other news, I don't have any news. I've actually been staying away from the media. I was listening to CBC News the other day, and a lot of refugees are coming to the United Kingdom. And in the United Kingdom, you got a bunch of people that are supporting the move. They're, come on in, welcome, come on in, welcome home, And then you got the opposite side of the spectrum that's like, get out of here. You're going to take all our jobs. You're going to take everything away from us. It's the human condition. And that could also be a form of racism too, right? Not allowing people in your country because you're afraid they're going to take all your jobs. I guess the main argument I would have for those people that feel that whenever immigrants come to their countries and they're going to take all their jobs, my recommendation is to do your best and do really good at your job, or else if your job gets taken away by someone, I don't think it's because they're immigrants. I think it's because they might be better at your job than you were ever better at your job, if that makes any sense. So that's what I listen to from the CBC News. One of my favorite programs I listen to is called CBC News, The World at 6. It keeps me updated with the pandemic cases, how good the numbers are. In this case, it's always how bad they are. A few days ago, we were up to 3,000 cases a day here in Alberta, and now we're stuck around 1,300, 1,500 cases a day. And, it's just one of those things where all you can do is listen to the news and do your best to stay home. I also heard, look at this. I got memories coming in of everything I heard. This is great. So I also heard another news story about Americans still choosing to travel, and same with Canadians who are still choosing to travel to go visit their families for Thanksgiving. And the reason why people are heavily against Americans, Canadians traveling to go home for Thanksgiving and for Christmas coming up is because those are called super spreader events, because you don't know who has it, who doesn't have it in your family. So the recommendation is to stay home and try to have Thanksgiving with yourself, maybe with one social contact. And, because let's be honest, being alone is one of the worst feelings in the world. To be alone is sad. There's only so much YouTube, Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime Video. There's only so many streaming shows you can watch until you realize that you're alone. And, thanks to this pandemic, there's only so much you can do to occupy your time before the cage of your brain starts making you feel awful, maybe starts making you feel, not the best feeling in the world. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this special unedited presentation of The Midday Show with J.R. Bjornson. As always, it is brought to you by Life. Life, the only thing that can push you down to the ground and then give you a hand right back up. Life. Go get yourself one. As always, I recommend if you're not doing anything right now and you feel a little sad and you feel a little down, go for a walk. Even if it's just to the end of your block and back, go for a walk. Inhale that fresh air. Try to stay away from people to the best of your abilities unless you got to do some necessary shopping for, bread, eggs, milk, good old Nutri-Grain bars. I love my Nutri-Grain. And coffee, right? The world is better with coffee. If you're listening to the show on YouTube, remember to subscribe. And if you are listening on YouTube, let me know if you would like to see more of these crossover shows where we actually broadcast the show on YouTube as well. This is J.R. Bjornson, and you have been listening to an unedited version of The Midday Show with J.R. Bjornson. This is for my buddy Dave Nicholson. I'm trying to do one episode a week where we don't have any copyrighted music, so Dave can listen to us on his favorite Google or Amazon Alexa smart speaker. All right, guys, that's it. I am done. Take care. Love one another. Call your friends. See what they're up to. Find out who your true friends are. And the best way to find out who your true friends are the people that invest their time in you and don't need anything or expect anything back.